So today, we're diving into a really fascinating story about how two very different nations, Australia and India, are teaming up to tackle one of the biggest challenges we all face, water security. It's a huge problem for sure, but this is a story about an even bigger collaboration.
I mean, that's the big question, right? How do you even begin to do that? On the surface, Australia and India couldn't be more different, but when you dig just a little deeper, you find this common ground. Or maybe a common thirst that's sparking a really incredible partnership. Okay, so let's get specific for a second. On one hand, you've got Australia, literally the driest inhabited continent on the planet, dealing with some insane climate extremes. We've all seen the stories. Then on the other hand, you have India, a powerhouse of a nation where the demand for water, for farms and for cities is just skyrocketing, way faster than the supply. For both of them, water isn't just a policy issue, it's an absolute lifeline for their future.
So, how do you bridge a gap that wide? Well, you build something together, and that's where the Australia-India Water Centre, or AIWC, comes into the picture. This organization is right at the heart of this whole thing, a hub specifically designed to connect the sharpest minds from both countries.
And listen, this isn't just some vague idea or a logo on a website. You can see the people right here. We're talking about 80 experts, top-tier scientists, government folks, university leaders, all in one room. And they weren't just there to pat each other on the back for 5 years of work. No, they were there to roll up their sleeves and actually design the future, together. This was all about turning years of talk into a real, solid plan of action.
And if you want to see what this collaboration looks like on the ground, you've got to check out this project called MARVI. The genius of it is in its simplicity, really. It trains local volunteers, farmers, people in the community, to become citizen scientists. It gives them the tools and the power to monitor and manage their own groundwater. It's a true grassroots solution, and has become a perfect example of what the AIWC is all about.
So after 5 years of building these relationships and getting projects like MARVI off the ground, the AIWC hit a real turning point. It was time to take everything they'd learned, all those successes, and build them into a bold, ambitious strategy to scale up their impact all the way to 2030. And this wasn't some report written in a back room and handed down from on high. Nope. As you can see, this 2030 strategy was built from the ground up. You had experts from both countries, side by side, debating, sketching things out, and co-designing a vision they all shared. That collaborative spirit, that's the secret sauce here. And this is what they came up with. A really comprehensive 5-pillar roadmap for the future. You can think of this as the architectural blueprint for everything the AIWC wants to get done in the next decade. Each pillar is a critical piece of the puzzle, and together, they create a totally holistic strategy. All right, so let's break this plan down. We're going to walk through each one of these 5 pillars to really get a handle on how this binational team plans to build a water-secure future. First up, Pillar 1. It all starts with the foundation, and that's science. This pillar is all about kickstarting collaborative research to solve the really tough technical problems. Everything from protecting groundwater to tackling those nasty, invisible pollutants that are starting to show up everywhere. And what's cool is how practical this is. They're taking what they learned from the MARVI project to help with groundwater, but they're also looking to the future, going after new threats like PFAS and microplastics. And, this is key, they're mixing high-tech stuff like digital tools and low-cost sensors with that same community-led monitoring just to make sure the solutions actually work for real people in the real world. Okay, so you can have the best ideas in the world, but they're useless without great people to make them happen. And that is exactly what Pillar 2 is for. This is all about building the human engine room, if you will, to power this partnership for generations. What they're doing is building a complete talent pipeline from the ground up. It starts with things like short, focused micro-credentials for people already in the workforce, and it goes all the way up to full joint degree programs for university students. They're even creating a young water professionals academy to coach the next generation of leaders. It's about building a real, lasting community of experts across both nations. So, you've got the research, you've got the trained experts, but to make a real difference, you have to influence policy. Pillar 3 is all about bridging that gap between the lab and the legislature, and turning smart ideas into actual government action. The goal here is for the AIWC to become that trusted, go-to advisor. The plan is to give governments clear, easy-to-understand policy briefs and then use their pilot sites as living proof that these ideas work. By lining up their research with the big national water missions in both India and Australia, they make sure their work doesn't just sit on a shelf, it actually helps governments get things done. A brilliant solution that nobody knows about doesn't really solve anything, does it? Pillar 4 is about making sure the knowledge and tools they're developing get shared far and wide, not just between Australia and India, but with the rest of the world.
And the goal here is huge, to become the one-stop shop for anyone interested in Australia-India water collaboration. That means they have to do more than just write academic papers. It means using clear storytelling, compelling case studies, and a really strong online presence to get the word out and share what they've learned with other countries facing the same problems.
And finally, we get to the pillar that holds everything else up, because none of this is possible without a rock-solid foundation. Pillar 5 is arguably the most critical, making sure this whole incredible effort is financially stable and built to last.
Yeah, this is all about moving away from just relying on the next grant to come in. It means setting up a formal leadership structure that's co-led by both countries. It means diversifying their money, getting it from government grants, sure, but also from corporate social responsibility funds, even from their own training programs. And it means having a small, dedicated team to keep all the gears turning. So we've gone through the 5 pillars of the plan. But what does it all add up to? If they pull this off, what does the world actually look like in 2030?
Well, success here isn't about how many reports they publish. It's measured in real-world impact. We're talking about tangible, life-changing improvements for millions of people. Things like more secure groundwater so communities don't run dry, cleaner rivers, better water quality, and farms that can actually survive the shocks of climate change.
And, the strategy document itself just says it perfectly. It says that with focused effort and a shared purpose, the center is now ready to advance water resilience, not just in Australia and India, but across the entire Indo-Pacific region. So this isn't just about 2 countries solving their own problems. The real vision here is to create a model for collaboration that can inspire everyone. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. We've just seen how Australia and India are tackling water security, but could this exact same model, this idea of deep, respectful partnership, of sharing knowledge and co-designing solutions, could that be the blueprint for how we solve other huge global challenges like climate change or public health? It's a pretty powerful thought.